Got a good project for you here. It's actually it's a good beginner project. It's very easy. We're going to be making a jewelry stand to hold necklaces and earrings and so on, as you can see here. So this is something that my wife wanted. She says, I need a stand for my necklaces so they don't get all tangled up and hang some other things on. And I thought, well, yeah, I can make something like that. So first I started sketching some stuff out, and I thought, I wonder what Design Bundles has, because we get a lot from there. So off to the computer we go, and I'll show you where this whole design came from and where you can get it. So here's where you get the file. As I said, I thought, well, I could draw one up and everything, and then I got to looking here on Design Bundles, and well, I could buy it, the plan's already made, or the SVG is already made for $1.50, so why spend a couple hours trying to design it? This is what she's looking for anyway. So here's where it is. It's on designbundles.net, and of course, again, I'm not sponsored by them. Just pointing out this is a good place to get a lot of designs, especially when you're starting out. Okay, once you've done the download, you'll have to unzip it, and you'll put it up, and you'll find you have a choice of 1/8 inch or 3mm. So it depends on what your material is. I'm going to be using the 3mm pattern here, and I'm going to be using the SVG, and I'm going to bring that into Lightburn. So one way to do it would be to drag it. Another way to do it would be to open it from Lightburn, and that's what I'm going to show here. So we're going to import this file. $3mm, and you'll see it's going to be way bigger than your work area. Well, that's fine. So what I want to do is separate some things here, and then we're going to make a little bit of a modification here. Okay, we have to ungroup this first. Now be careful when you are moving things so you don't start moving slots and stuff around. So what I'm going to do is select this one here, and then I'm going to group it for now, so I can move it without the slots moving. We'll ungroup it. We're going to modify those slots here. And this one over here, I'm actually just going to delete that for right now, because after I modify the other one, I'll just duplicate it instead of going through all the work and changing all these slots. Okay, now here, we need to be able to get everything in the work area. So I'm going to take these guys here, and I'm going to group them just so they stay together. I'll move them off to the side for right now. We'll take these here, move them up so that they're in the workspace. I'll leave this little bit of space up here, so what I can do, we'll run over here to this guy again, select that, I'll ungroup it. Select that, ungroup it. I'm just going to take two of these, move them into the work area. So we'll iron that out a little more here in a minute. I want to show you what we need to do over here with the ends. Okay, I'm going to select this, then I'm going to ungroup it. Now, you need to measure the thickness of your material. So we go right here. You see that is set for exactly, we're looking at the width, because we want the width of the slot for the thickness of the material. So that's at 3.0mm, and I believe mine was 2.7 millimeters, so I'm going to change that to 2.7. That'll be a tight fit, and that snug fit will make it a whole lot easier to put this together. Don't you want any slop. Make sure you unlock that lock so you don't change the height. So we need to do that to all of these vertical ones. Then on the horizontal ones down here, now we got to look at height. So there we want to change that one to 2.7. Again, with your padlock unlocked, and we do that with the rest of these. Then once they're all changed, select the whole thing again. Make sure you group it so you don't move anything. Now if you do a Control-C, or you could do a left click too and copy, then a Control-V, now you got two of them. So those two will lay out on the next sheet of piece of plywood along with these two cone pieces here, and you can turn them around. Okay, we'll get back to this guy here now. So I need to create a tool path. If my plywood pieces are 16 inches square. So I'm going to create a square here, and I held the shift key down while I was doing it. And we're going to change this now to inches. I want this to be 16. Sure you're locked there, so everything stays the same. Change that to 16 inches. Now I'm going to make that a tool path. Get on my arrow over here. So that is now the tool path, and I'm going to center that. That's what this guy up here does. Now you can see that some of our work is not inside the work area. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to move some things over. I'm going to take this one, just slide it down out of the way here. Move this one over because we don't have enough room for that one. Now I'll take this one and I'll rotate it 90 degrees. Or thereabouts. I've already done this on one, so now I can put that one up there vertically. Up here, take a look at the top. See, we got one that's out of place there too. So we'll take this one, scooch him over. We'll take this guy and do the same rotation thing. I'm working with a mouse here that needs to be replaced. We can put him over here. We got him in the work area then. So that's how you lay out your work there. If, of course, if you're looking at having grain pattern go a certain way, you're going to have to make some further or other adjustments or do it differently. That's just one example of what you can do. And that would be off your first sheet of 16 by 16, 3mm plywood. Then on your next sheet, you would take your last two, I'm calling these combs. That's what they look like. And your two end pieces. And a good way to do that would be to flip this one. Then you can put them close together. And you just flip your two cone pieces up on their side and they'll fit right along the other side there. That's the way I cut the last one out. So now we'll move on to the computer and get some things cut. Okay, so what am I using for material before we get going on the laser here? This is 1/8 inch nominal, 3mm, whatever you want to call it, plywood from Home Depot. I buy this in 4x8 sheets and I cut it out down to 16-inch squares, because that is what I work with most of the time. It's got kind of a nice birch looking finish on one side and kind of a unique stripy look on the other side, as you can see there. So as I mentioned when we were on the computer, you need to get yourself a digital caliper. It doesn't have to be a real good one. It doesn't have to be a Starrett or anything. You're not building a space shuttle here. But you need to measure your material. So I got this set to M&M's, millimeters, and it is 2.7. So if we have a 3mm hole with 2.7mm plywood, it's going to be a little bit sloppy. That's why I made that little bit of an adjustment, took it up to 2.8. You still want to have a little bit, and you can't make them both the same or it won't really fit. So there's a little hint about measuring your material first. Okay, so I've got my first piece laid out here on the laser. I've got that first screen up as first cutout as I showed you on the when we were on the computer. So what I want to do here, first I want to make sure I'm home. I should be. Okay, we are home. So I want to frame this first to make sure that I have my piece in the right place on the honeycomb board. Also, don't forget to set your focus before you do this. I have my framing set somewhat slow. You can speed that up if you wish, but I like to have the slower speed so that if I need to make any adjustments with my piece of work, I can do that. And like here, I need to scoot that over just a little bit. We're all set up and framed well. So on this first part, how long is it going to take? It's going to take 20 minutes and 58 seconds. Make those first set of cutouts. So I'll hit start and away we go. And again, I do have air assist on and I'm using honeycomb board. If you're going to be looking at that laser while it's cutting or running or anything, this is what they call a class 4 laser, which means it's just open. You need to have some eye protection. Even though there's a shield on there, you still need to have these on if you're looking directly at that beam. If you're just like walking around the shop or whatever, you're just cutting on wood, it's so close that you probably won't see anything. But again, if you're going to be looking at it close, put these on. I'll put a link in the description what these are. These are from Cloud Ray, and they fit over prescription glasses real well. And they're very, very comfortable. And they're orange, which is actually the proper color for a blue laser. So the other thing is ventilation. The shop door is wide open and I've got a fan behind me. I can't smell any of the smoke at all. I do this without an enclosure. I do have enclosures, but I do a lot of the video with these just open so you can see everything better. And here's our finished pieces from the first cut. So when you pick up your sheet, everything should fall right out of it. Like so. I'll get these gathered up and then I'll get the next sheet set up and we'll cut that one. Total cut time for this second sheet is 12 minutes and 49 seconds. Okay, here's our second sheet. Again, everything should just fall out. A little area up there to use for something else. And even pieces like this, if you're doing earrings or any kind of small projects, don't throw them away. Got a little pile of them going over there. So I'll get all this cleaned up and then well, let's try one of these out here for fit. Because we did make the slots narrower to match the wood we have. And that's, you don't want it to where you got to force it. You don't want a bunch of slop in there either, so we got a good fit there. Okay, finishing. On the first one I did, I used a walnut stain. For this one here, I'm going to be using a what they call golden oak. And to apply it, of course, I don't want my hands to be that color, so some nitro gloves on. Here's a blue shop towel. You don't need to, unless you're doing a whole lot of them, then in case you'd want to get like a sponge brush or something. I like to start out with the ones that are kind of a pain to do, and that's these here. I'll get some stain on my rag here. And if you've never used a penetrating stain like this, you put it on good and heavy. Someone do both sides. Don't be afraid to get on her good and heavy. And then I just lay them all down, and when I get done, then I go back after they've set a while and I wipe off any of the excess. So don't be stingy with stain or you can end up with some blotches. Also, as I haven't mentioned yet, if you are going to stain this, stain it before you assemble it and glue it, because stain does not stick to glue. Although the glue I'm going to be using CA glue will stick to the stain and penetrate just fine. Now if you're going to paint, you could just assemble it and then paint it. And these little T pieces are kind of a pain here because the little pieces that stick down want to snag on everything. But you can see these are much easier. So once you have everything stained and it has set for a few minutes, you can go back with another towel and wipe off any of the excess. You don't have to be real vigorous about it. Just any excess stain that's on there, just kind of get it wiped off. That way you won't have any splotches. Whoop. And once everything's stained, leave them overnight to dry. You could theoretically try to glue these up after a couple hours, but if you're using any type of accelerator with the CA glue, if you're using CA glue, it will kind of dissolve and splotch the stain, so it's better if you let it dry completely first. Okay, here we are the next day. This is dried overnight, and what I'm going to be using to put this together is CA glue. Using Titebond Instant Bond, there's lots of brands, and then their accelerator. And I'm using the thick because I don't want it running all over, and it works out really, really well. So the next thing you're going to want to do is, if you're using this type of plywood where you have like the birch finish on this side and then this little stripy finish on the other side, is decide which side you want out. I think on this one I'm going to use the basswood side out, or birch looking side out. So the first thing you're going to want to do is assemble the base, which will fit like so. And what I do is put some CA glue on the tabs and on the little edges right here. I put it together, I spray with accelerator, and I hold it for a few seconds. Of course, you want to make sure you have a good 90-degree angle when you do that, because you're not going to be able to move it much afterwards. Here I'm just putting a thin layer on each side of the tabs. And I'll put a thin layer on the edges here. We'll insert that, stand it up till we get a good 90, spray my accelerator on it, each side, and you just have to hold it for a few seconds till it sets. Next, I'll do the same with the two end rails that go on the bottom here. That will fit like so. I'll be doing those next, same method. And then next I'll put one of these here up at the top to fit like so. Using the same thing, same method. I'm about out of glue here. And you have to decide, if you have this two-sided, which side you want facing how. And as you do this, make sure you keep that at a perfect 90 till it sets. It only takes a few seconds. Next, I'll be putting the other side on, and it'll sit on here like so. So I'll put CA glue on all the tabs and the lines and everything, and get this set in place, spray it with my activator. And just hold that for a few seconds till it sets. Now here's where you can make some choices on how you want things to be arranged. Just remember on these here that this part goes down, so it would set in here like this. So it's a matter of, I put glue on the tabs on each side, and I just flex this a little bit, which will allow it to fit inside there. This is the easiest way I've found to assemble this. I'm about out of glue here. These pieces, of course, you want the teeth, for lack of a better word, to be pointing up. And once that side's in, a little accelerator. Turn this around. Shoot the accelerator on this side. And repeat on this side. Now on this side I'm using two of these, one here and one here. And then I'll put the comb type piece up at the top. And there's the finished jewelry stand. So here's a finished unit right here. And as I said, it's going to be up to you how you want to arrange these, or maybe you don't want any of the like earring hangers at all, you just want all these, or maybe you want all earring hangers. You can pick out what you want to cut when you make it and how you arrange it. Again, it's completely up to you, as well as how you want to finish it. I'll put a link in the description of where to get this pattern. As I pointed out, for $1.50, why spend all the time trying to draw it and design it yourself? Yeah, I could do that, but that was a lot easier. Wife wanted something quick and needs to make a good gift, or if you need to maybe make the wife happy, or a daughter or granddaughter or whatever. It's a good little project, not difficult. I'll also put a link in the description of the Titebond glue. You can get that on Amazon. There's other brands as well. I'm not strictly a Titebond person, but that was handy. And as I saw, I need to refill my thick bottle, get another refill. But there it is. If you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. I'm Roger in the shop. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.